right, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. It is cold outside, I'm telling you, here in the Midwest, Indiana. And today's show is a little bit different. We're going to talk about holistic approach to nutrition. And the reason for this is pretty simple. We have a serious problem with health here in this country. And a lot of the health issues that we encounter is from, first of all, lack of knowledge. Second of all, resources. And probably last but not least, economic issues. Because you got to have money to eat healthy. You got to have education to know what you're doing. And then you also need a support system. Today, we have a young lady who actually, I would call her a support system. She's basically has devoted pretty much her life with trying to unlock the mysteries of the metabolic system that we all have. Like to welcome to the show. I'm gonna make sure I get her name correct because the first name is important. She's Dr. Rachel, and the last name is Shuck. Is it Shuck?
Shuck.
Shuck. Okay. I was
Wait,
close.
you're perfect.
I was close.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Um I read your bio, and Jesus Christ, tons of marathons. Former school, former school teacher, but you probably didn't do your research a little bit on me because I was also a former school teacher and an actual long distance runner, Olympic 1984 Olympic candidate. Boom. So
Oh my gosh. Well, that's way more impressive.
so I know what it's like to run those marathons and the importance of eating or what we needed to eat to accomplish these long distance run. But enough of my bio. Let's talk about who you are. Give the viewers a little bit about who Dr. Rachel is.
Okay, well, I'll just kind of start from the beginning. I'm one of 9 kids, and I'm number 5. I'm right smack dab in the middle. And I was super lucky. I grew up with parents that really knew nutrition was important, which also made me the super weird kid because I'd go to school with my like sprouted grain sandwiches. And if you've ever eaten that kind of bread, it sort of looks like cardboard. It sort of has a texture of cardboard and it tastes like cardboard. So I'd go to school and I'd swap out my healthy sandwiches my mom had made of, labor of love for my friends, white bread, hydrogenated peanut butter sandwiches, and get
Right.
my fix there. So, um, bless my mom's heart, she was feeding somebody in California a really good lunch every day. It just wasn't me. um, and so, as a kid, you don't appreciate that.
Right.
And then when I became a teenager, my parents they let me kind of fail my own way forward. So kudos to them for that. But I got a job at a fast food place and I ate all the fast food. I mean, if there was a way to sneak in the fast food, I was doing it. Grab a fry on the way to putting an order together, take orders in the back, drink all the little creams, eat the boxes of cookies, just be like carnage in the back when you went back there and saw the damage I had done.
Yeah.
And so, I did reap the nutritional consequences of that. I remember my mom commenting on the acne that I had, like somehow I couldn't see it. And, and I got a little puffy. So, I knew, but you're a teenager and you want to do what you want to do.
Right.
And then, so fast forward to adulthood, I've got a full time job, I've got a part time job, I've got 2 kids. I thought, what would be a good idea? I should add running to this just to kind of help,
Mm.
add some extra things on my plate.
Right.
And when I started running, what I realized is I was slow and I did not like that. I didn't like being at the back of the pack.
Right.
um, Too much ego involved, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
So the competitive side of me was like, all right, I know I have to change my training and I have to change what I eat. So I changed my nutrition. And after changing my nutrition, I've run a lot of marathons. I've qualified for Boston twice. I've run Boston. Um, and in that journey, what happened is I started working with other endurance athletes to help them improve their nutrition.
Hey, Rachel, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
You mentioned a key word. You mentioned competitive. Were you competitive in high school? Did you participate in track and field, baseball, softball?
Yes, but it's funny. I was competitive as like a 12 and under kid, and when I got into high school, I did do track and field. And this maybe will give hope to someone else. I hated it so much. Hated it. My
Well,
coach made me run the 2 mile, and I would quit on lap 7, which it's an 8 lap race.
what was your race in high school when you ran track and field? What did they put? What event were you supposed to be specializing in during that time?
I think they didn't know what to do with me, so they just put me in the things that no one else wants to do, like the 2 mile. Nobody wants to run 8 laps around a track. It's boring to watch. It's boring to do. Um, at least running a marathon, you get some changes of scenery. um, but as a younger child, I was very competitive, and having 9 siblings, you're always kind of, we'd go outside and have pull up contests and, that kind of thing. And
What
um,
what was your eating
I
habit?
lost
What was your eating habits like? Because I'm gonna take the viewers down a nutrition pathway, especially as it relates to high school, college, and to your marathon conquest. What was your eating like when you was in high school? As even though you was still competitive, what was your eating habits like?
Oh, they were terrible. This is when I was working at fast food.
And trying to run on the track and field team at the same time.
Yeah, it wasn't a good combination. And life is so ironic because when I ended up teaching, I became the track one of the track and field coaches of distance kids. But I knew what they needed.
Right. So, like
Yeah.
when you talk about some of the stuff that your eating habits were bad with French fries did
Mhm.
and burgers and so forth, did the coaches even evaluate your eating habits to enhance your performance, or they pretty much left that up to you guys?
Oh, yeah, that was not even on their radar. And the thing to do after a track meet is you stop at a fast food restaurant and you get food. So it was actually encouraged to eat poorly. I don't think they knew any better.
Right.
So, yeah.
When you wind up going to college, were you also a competitive athlete?
No, I did not compete in college, but I had a baby my first week of college. So that kind of took out any type of sporting events. I had other priorities.
Was your eating habits still questionable during that time too, as you was having your first child?
Yeah, they were better, but there were not good things in there for sure.
What do you mean
I
they
would say
were
most
better?
well, I didn't live off fast food daily, so there was that. But I mean, there was still a lot of processed food, and then a lot of sugary caffeinated beverages, trying to just survive, stay awake, get the homework done, take care of your child. Like, they weren't the best choices.
How long when did the idea of becoming a nutrition specialist creep into you to this artillery that you got going on?
Oh, that's a good question. So somewhere post college teaching, I've always loved to work out and I've always loved to exercise, whether I was doing it well or not. I always enjoyed it. And I was teaching a fitness class after work for the ladies at my school. And as I was just watching everyone, I was thinking, the exercise is not their problem. This isn't the piece that's missing for them.
Mhm.
They don't know how to eat. This is what is missing for most people is eating correctly. Um,
How
and
did
then I
you
was working.
how did
Oh,
you
go
come
ahead.
up with that? How did you come up with that analogy as it relates to yourself? Because here it is, you are teaching individuals health and fitness and exercise. So then all of a sudden, a light goes off in your head that goes, "Oh, well, they need to be eating." I mean, what was that about? Did you look at yourself and go, "I need to be following my own advice here"? I mean, what was that? I found that very intriguing that you said that.
So, well, I think at that point I had already kind of made the change within myself. So
Mhm,
I knew because I had lived it firsthand of going back to the nutrition fundamentals. I saw my body composition change. I saw my performance get better.
mhm.
And so when I was working with them and the exercise piece, I was just like, oh, they're missing what I was missing.
What were some of the
Um,
things that you changed that you noticed the difference? Because you kind of got away from some of the fast food life because you're a little bit older now. But
mhm.
what were some of the things that you changed in your nutritional regimen to that you saw that clearly enhanced your performance? And what I mean by enhanced performance, because I am a trainer and nutritionist as well, and I tell people when you're
Yeah.
looking at enhanced performance, it's not this skyrocket thing. It's maybe just a inch off of a time or a little bit more muscle
Yeah.
mass and a decreasing of body fat. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's the same thing, and for me, like, personally, as I of course, like you said, I wasn't doing the fast food and all of that, but, just getting away from any kind of box processed food and really working on, a big thing for me was to not be afraid of fat. So, fat can
Wait
be
a
healthy
minute.
and good.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're my favorite person right now. As a as a trainer and a nutritionist, I preach that all the time. And it's amazing how the propaganda of television and media will convince somebody to take a fat-free and a sugar-free product and not understanding you got to have some fat, and fat plays a major role in your body's ability to maintain muscle mass and generate enough energy to do what you need to do. But this is your story, so keep going with that. My hat's
Oh,
off
but
to you
I
for saying that.
completely agree. Yes, I love it. Yeah, I'm like, and especially as a female avoiding fat, I'll tell you just a side note. When I work with older clientele, and they're dealing with like osteoporosis type
Yeah,
issues, they'll come to me and they'll be like, "Well, I've avoided fat my whole life," and I'm thinking, well, and I'll tell them, I'll say, "Well, you have to have fat to absorb vitamin D, vitamin K. Those are crucial for
right,
bone health." Like,
right.
yes, the propaganda. Oh, don't get me started.
Get started. Get started now.
Oh, but yeah, so I mean, it was the big things of like fat does not make you fat. Fat is good fuel. You have to have it to run your body optimally. Not just to run, but to
Right, right.
function. Yeah, your sex hormones need fat, all of that stuff. We need fat. So just making sure, and I didn't focus too much on macros in general, because for a lot of people, it's really just the fundamentals of cleaning up, right? And then not being afraid of real food. Because a lot of times have women say, but I'm eating so many calories. And then they step on the scale and they're like, but the weight's still going down.
Right, right, right,
Like,
right, right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's okay to eat. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like I got sidetracked with the question. Did I answer it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to deflect you, but I never
No.
hear that from a nutritionist as it relates to
Mhm.
fat, as you just said, micros. It's funny because I have clients that would be like, "Well, I'm doing this micro." I'm like, "Why don't you just learn to eat?" You know, quit
Yeah.
worrying about calories. And the first thing I would tell people is, "What is a calorie?" That's what I would tell people. What is a calorie? And nobody could really tell me. I said, "Calorie is a unit of energy comprised of three components: fat, carbohydrates, and protein. Those equal what is called a calorie." And they'd be like,
Mhm.
"Oh my God." Now, am I wrong or right? You the nutritionist, you the doctor.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes. I mean, that is, they're all gonna, those all have a certain caloric value. But, and that goes back to, but when we calculate caloric value, we're calculating it in a machine that's not our body. It
Right.
doesn't, we don't, we're, yeah, anyway. So yeah, yeah, I agree with you.
When what were some of the things that you saw change in your body composition and your athletic composition when you start employing your own methods into your own? Because I'm a prime example, and I tell my clients, I can't expect you to follow me if I'm not doing what I need to do. If I'm not looking the part, if I'm not exhibiting the part, you have to do this. So, what were some of the things that you saw change in you?
Yeah, I completely agree. You do have to, I want to just expound on that where I'm like, I completely agree with that because I get so tired of, I get a lot of people say, I'm a nutritionist, I do this. And I look at them and I'm like, but you're unhealthy. You're asking people to do things that you don't do. And
Right.
that bothers me. Okay. But yeah, so some of the big things I noticed, any kind of midsection fat that went down, it went away, which we know that that's a huge driver of metabolic issues.
Hmm.
And not, and to be honest, I never had a lot, but um when I was doing all this training. But I did notice like more muscle mass, leaner. And I don't want to attribute that to running and food. I want to attribute that to food and lifting weights.
Right.
Running helps, but weight training is, I think, a little more important there. And just overall, like the cool thing about running is it's such a nice metric because kind of like you said with the progress and the small amounts. And it was like, I go, my first half marathon I ran, it was like a 158, which it's okay. It's not bad. But
Right.
by the time I had started cleaning up all of my diet and really figuring out how to hone things in, I think the last half marathon I did was a 135. So you can see, I mean, a 25-minute difference
Right.
within 13 miles is, you can tell there was the body was responding to the fueling.
We went when I was competing, the data wasn't as accurate as it is today. We were
Oh,
told as a runner, you had to load up with pasta and all this kind of stuff. It wasn't until I got older and realized this was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, this isn't an effective way of running. It isn't an effective way of maintaining and building lean quality muscle mass. It was more making me more catabolic, which is what the loss of muscle mass. Um,
Mhm.
you're definitely younger than me. What were your eating regimens like when you first started to get into the marathon running, and what did you change differently that as far as your eating habits that you saw the significant increase in overall athletic performance and body consumption?
I would say there were probably a lot more carbs, specifically processed carbs, which kind of goes back to, they say you got to eat the pasta, you got to eat the bagels, you got to do all these things.
Mhm.
Um, and when I got rid of those and learned I can really fuel myself pretty well, and the body performs at that type of a race really well, running off of fat as a fuel. Um,
Wait a minute. Could you say that again? Could you say that again?
yeah, fat is an incredible fuel. Our bodies do very well with using that. Yeah.
It's so funny that you said that because my artillery weapon as a professional bodybuilder, and I went from track and field to professional bodybuilding, and it was funny because I was always I had that same belief because that's what we were told in the books.
It's
The
and
books
it's
hadn't been
and
updated.
we're still talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
the books hadn't been updated, and it was John Perillo. Hats off to John Perillo. I got an invite to go to Cincinnati and train at his facility. And to me, at that time, that was like huge. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I get to go train with the great John Perillo. And I drove to Cincinnati, and my body fat was a -5. You know, as a doctor, that's dangerous. Like,
Yeah, that
you're-
I'm
you're-
like, I bet you did not feel great.
you know what? You know what? Rachel, I felt good, but this was two things that was happening to me at the time. I was overtraining.
Mm,
I was eating, but there was no progress. And
okay.
when I went to go see John Perillo, he was like, "You need to start adding medium chain triglycerides into your regimen." And I was like, "Well, what is that?" From that moment on, my I went back to school, brushed up on my nutrition, and realized that the mitochondria needed that fat.
Love
And
it.
my athletic
Mhm.
performance like literally skyrocketed. But to go back to what you were saying, I'm glad that you are here on the show resonating exactly what I've been trying to teach people. Uh
That's awesome.
so your whole regimen changed once you start using the fat. Then what happened?
Yeah, I mean, once I started fueling like that, I mean, the results speak for themselves. This is when I ended up, because like I said, I ran a lot of marathons trying to figure all this out, and you
How
know,
many how many marathons? Tell the viewers how many marathons you done.
well, okay, to be honest with you, I don't know the exact number. Full marathons, I think it's about 20. Half marathons, probably another 20. I truly I don't know. Maybe I could go like pull out all the medals that you don't know what to do with and
Well, damn, Rachel, are you like going to every marathon across the United States?
well, not anymore. It's funny. I don't run that much anymore. But yeah, I was just so determined that I really felt like I could qualify for Boston, and I just kept barely missing the mark
Mhm.
until I figured out, you know, I need to eat differently and use fat as a fuel. And boy, I tell you what, I started doing that, and I qualified. I did qualify, but then Boston has these weird things where you have to, even if you qualify, you may still not get in. So then I had to run another one the next year and have a much bigger gap. So, you know, when I first started running marathons, I was about a 4 hour marathoner.
Right.
And then the last one I did to qualify was like a 3:20 something, 3:29 maybe.
That's pretty good.
So, I
Uh,
mean, isn't that a testament to what food can do? 31 minutes or whatever
yeah,
ended up being, I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
saved a great amount of time off of your performance. But this is another question. Have you ever did the marathon here in Indianapolis, Indiana?
I have not. Oh, do I need to? Because I'm kind of over marathons.
We have a marathon here that's been around for years, and it's actually a well-known. It's up there with the Boston Marathons. I mean, people from all over the world come here to run it. But my other question to you is, and I, the viewers need to understand you are a doctor. So it's not like that you're giving some fly by night shit. You've actually lived it. You employed your methods into your own life. And I think that's key when you're talking about somebody that's giving advice. You know, I mean, you either had
Mhm.
to lived it, done it, and you have to implement it in your own life to make sure to validate that it actually worked. I'm a living specimen of my own product in my teaching, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
another issue that I know you probably hear from women is I don't want to work out because I'm scared to build muscle. And they don't
Oh,
understand the relativity of hormones with versus testosterone and estrogen. And the chances of you becoming like you seeing all over TikTok, a lot of in Instagram, a lot of those women do use testosterone. It's highly
absolutely.
highly unlikely for a woman to develop that degree of muscle mass, no matter how much protein and amino acids that they have in their body. What's your take on that?
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, when you see those very muscly women, I immediately know they're probably using some form of testosterone therapy. Also, the voice is often a dead giveaway too. It'll be a little bit lower. I mean, not always, but often.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I work out with several women, and we lift weights. None
Hmm.
of us are on testosterone, and I would not say any of us are overly muscled. It's just really almost impossible to do
Yeah.
unless you're a female who just tends to naturally have a lot of testosterone. But
Right.
that's
Right.
rare. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm not,
yeah.
for the viewers, I'm not player hating and bashing women that do it. You do it because you do
Sure.
it. It's not the thing, but
Yeah.
what we're doing here is educating the ones that don't, and to let them know that they don't need to be afraid to go in the gym. The chances of you turning out like that, or are afraid to go like that, is not going to really happen. First of all, you're not going to be able to put in that much time to develop that degree of muscle mass to begin with. What'd you take on that, Doc?
Yeah, I completely agree. And the other thing I want to say is really the people who really need to be in the gym lifting are women because we are more at risk for things like osteoporosis, and the best way to combat that is through good diet and weight bearing exercise. So we should be lifting
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or some kind of resistance training. I mean, not every lifting's not for everyone, but something that is resistant.
What's your take on? I'm going into my journal here. I used to deal with a
Okay,
lot
I
of
love
women that love to do cardio, and I would tell them it's cool to do cardio, but you need to understand the empowerment of anaerobic conditioning. And I know you know about anaerobic conditioning. What's your take on that? And as it relates to overall health, that way they can get a combination of both strength, fitness, and cardio. What's your take on that, Doc?
Well, it's funny you say that because, we've talked so much about all the marathon running and all that. Let me say, I don't ever recommend marathon running or training or any of that for health. I don't actually think that's the best way to achieve health.
Mhm.
That was me chasing a goal. So yeah, I feel like a lot of times women spend too much time in the cardio spot and also a lot of times overdoing it with the
Yeah,
cardio.
yeah.
It's again, we do need some cardio. There are benefits to cardio, but we don't I think a lot of women tend to lean towards that and sort of not so much towards the other piece, which is I don't want to say anything's more important than the other, but there is a balance.
What what would you consider the proper exercise regimen for a beginner, a woman who's trying to lose maybe three to 4 pounds? What would you kind of like
Oh,
recommend as a starter?
okay, so it's a woman who wants to lose 3 or 4 pounds who's never exercised in their life. Like
Right.
this is where it gets super new. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Never
Well, I
exercised,
mean,
never
in
did
some cases,
nutrition, nothing. She's new to the
nothing.
game.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, then I always start if it's a client and if that's where they come in, then we always slow but steady wins a race here. So maybe start with some walking and start with some body weight exercises. Like they it's kind of like you said where you went into the thing and you were overtrained. We
Right.
can always overdo it and add more later. If we overdo it, then people they get sidelined and then they have to stop completely and then they're starting over and that's such a mental like a mind, it's just not good.
Mm.
So slow but steady, so the walking, the body weight exercises, and of course from my background I'm like food first, food is medicine, that's my whole tagline. So
What do you find that most people are doing wrong as it relates to overall health in general? Let's just take out exercise and eating. What do you've been? This is what you practice. This is your field. People are coming to you. What's the number? What are three basic issues that people are dealing with every day that's coming to see you? And is it men or
well,
women or children? So that's a two-part question.
what was the second part?
Is it more women? If so, what's the age bracket? If it's men, what's the age
Oh,
bracket? And if they're children, what are you seeing?
okay. So I'll start with the children. Children, and I don't see a lot of kids. I only see a few kids, but it's usually behavioral issues. And so when we can get rid of those processed foods and sometimes we have to do a very intense diet depending on the behavioral issues, but that can be acting out, that can be focus problems. I had one little girl who actually had seizures, um, which once she changed the diet, she was able to get off those medications.
Mhm.
I don't ever take anyone off medications. That they have to see their medical doctor for that. But
Right.
I'm always open to working with that with a medical doctor. So that's kids. So then what happens is for adults, I see a lot of women, um, and I'm going to tell you what I see with them, and then they get results, and then they bring their husbands in. But it's a really interesting phenomenon that men don't tend to just go to the doctor or the nutritionist or whoever and work on their problems.
Mhm.
They got to get the wife to like kind of drag them in. Yeah. So a lot of times with the women, where we start is they have stubborn weight loss resistance, or they have some kind of chronic pain. Usually there is some excess belly fat, which is a huge, like I said, a driver of metabolic issues. But Andre, the thing that's really critical is everyone is so uniquely individual. And sometimes, and this is why I like to test, because maybe you have a thyroid issue that no one's talked about. Maybe there's some Hashimoto's. Um, maybe you have a liver issue no one's talked about. And so maybe you're not digesting your food correctly.
Mhm.
Um, and so all of these issues kind of all end up with the same manifestation at the end, but
Mhm.
the root cause can be very, very different. And then with men, what I see most frequently, midsection weight gain, low testosterone.
Mm. And
Um,
I know you've seen this. I've dealt with a lot of clients whose physician puts them on, like you said, T3 medication without
mhm,
understanding there's different forms of T3, but T3 can also cause rapid, and I mean rapid deterioration in muscle loss. And then it's usually a cutoff to where the body is actually trying to figure out almost like a starvation, like what the fuck do I do now? And then they wind up going back to the doctor, and doctors put them on more T3, and eventually either their thyroid is fried, they've become so catabolic that
mhm.
the body then begins to accumulate and store body fat because I'm not the doctor. I think that the body thinks that it's in starvation mode, and it has no other resort but to take those things and put itself in a survival mechanism. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, so yeah, I think that yeah, so a lot of times doctors will just test TSH and then they'll either put you on a T3 or they'll put you on something that will make you make more T4, and which eventually is supposed to get converted into T3.
Right.
And right, it's like, why are we messing with the metabolism when we haven't looked at the root cause of why are these numbers off? And one of the big things is like if your T3 number is off, it may not be your thyroid at all. You may have a gut or a liver issue because that's where T4 gets converted to T3.
Right.
So again, just root cause type things of like, are you digesting your food right? Because maybe that's the true problem.
What kind of
Yeah.
blood work would you brought up something that's real keen here, and let me say this. Thank you so much for taking time to come on the show and share your knowledge, because on this platform, that beast mindset is always about educating and empowering individuals to at least have a resource outlet. But going back to the first line of treatment is recognizing if you have these issues and stubborn weight loss and stuff, and yeah, you go to the doctor and they do blood work, But what should the endocrinologist and the doctor itself, the primary care physician, be addressing in that blood work, and what should they be asking for to be drawn in that blood to recognize if there's a T3 issue, if there's a T4 issue, if there is gut issues, if there's what the issues are?
Yeah. So, and of course, I don't want to give any doctors advice, but I'll tell you what I ask my people to look for.
Right.
Um, so if it's thyroid, we try to do a full thyroid panel. So we do test free T3, reverse T3, because if your reverse T3 is high, that tells me there's probably a liver issue we need to work on. Free T4, your TSH, and then I also like to always check for thyroid antibodies, because if there's something attacking your thyroid, then it's not the thyroid that's the problem. It's why is that happening? And so a lot of people that end up on thyroid meds have never had that checked. And when we check it, those numbers are high.
What
So
about,
that
go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, and then there's some really cool, like, again, functional to me, healthy optimal numbers are not the same as, oh, you're not sick numbers, right? So there's some really cool things you can do with labs. Um, if, for example, if you were to test your fasting glucose and your fasting insulin, and you were to look at them on the chart, they, if let's say your fasting glucose said 80, which is great, right? And then your fasting insulin said 14, which is still within range. But there's these really cool tools we have now that we can put things together to get a better picture of what the body's doing.
Mhm.
So in this case, I use something called a HOMA IR calculator. And you put in the glucose at 80 and you put in the fasting insulin at 14. And if we come up with a number over 2, then we know, okay, you're a little bit insulin resistant and we need to work on this,
Right.
versus you're just getting numbers and going, I'm in thin range. I don't know what's wrong. Everything checks. I'm good.
It's
So,
funny.
I mean, there's lots of little things like that.
We just had a doctor on the show, and that was the topic of discussion: insulin resistant in the pancreas and its importance to the body's metabolic system. What about
Absolutely.
detoxification and over the counter stuff? We see a lot of people gravitating to um, like milk thistle and dandelion root, things that are holistic versus synthetic type things for detoxifying and trying to uh, clean the body out. What's your take on that?
So I always support using real whole foods like milk thistle or dandelion root. Anytime we can do that above medication, just because the body really knows how to process those things well and the side effects are much less.
Mhm.
However, this is where it comes down to the nuance of each individual, because if we notice that you have low iron, then something like milk thistle may not be the best choice for you, as it can chelate iron out of the body. So it's natural, I love it. It's not for everyone all the time,
Mhm.
but I do like natural products for letting
You're
our body do what it's supposed to do. Yeah.
you're on a quest right now. Before we wrap up, you're on a quest right now, and my hats off to you for doing this by trying to provide online educational tools for individuals. Explain a little bit about that, and also the holistic approach that you're doing versus people buying supplements and all this other stuff on the market.
Yeah. So my whole philosophy is that food is medicine and food is the foundation and the frame for our house of health. So I'm not opposed to supplements. They have their place. I use them in my practice. I try to always do like a whole food supplement, but I always like to make this analogy of, if you build a house and you skip the foundation and you skip the frame and you try to hang drywall, that's not going to go well. And to me, that's kind of what supplementing is without fixing the diet first.
Mhm.
So that's the big thing. And then as of now, I'm working mostly one on one with people, sort of educating one person at a time and hoping it continues to snowball.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, I would like to grow that to where I can reach a bigger audience more, at one time.
Mhm.
But for now, it's so rewarding to see the mom come in, changes for herself, and then it trickles down to the whole family.
How can the viewers reach out to you and support you if they want more information?
So actually they can go to it's drshuck.com. Um, so www.drshuck.com/beast, BEAST, and we can connect that way.
I like the beast part.
Yeah.
I love that part. Lead the
Yeah.
viewers with that beast mindset that you live with every day. And like once again, my hats off to you for providing a tool and a resource for individuals to come. But before you answer my question about what keeps you in that beast mindset, let's go back. There's another question. We always have people on in television talking about the importance of a healthy lifestyle. But let's get
Mhm,
real. In this country, a lot of us, there's a lot of homelessness.
mhm,
There's a lot of poverty. And poverty individuals don't get the opportunity to eat
mhm.
the things that they need to eat. Um, it would be good if everybody had that, but you got to have money to do it. And if you are struggling in today's economy, providing healthy food choices for your family and kids is almost like a no-brainer. What do you want to see happen with a situation like that? And what are you doing to help address the ones that really, I call it the ones that's being left behind?
Yeah. Well, and so I was one of 9 kids and we were poor. Um, I I would love to see more community gardens, that kind of stuff. I know it's so hard to implement in places with food deserts that just don't, I mean, even a grocery store sometimes isn't super accessible. So, I mean, again, I just feel like, especially when I was teaching, even if I could educate the kids, they may not have had the resources at home always, but it planted a seed to, okay, when I get an opportunity, I will make, a different choice. Sometimes it's a lesser of two evils, with the food or the exercise. But going outside is free, sunshine is free. Um, I mean, you're such a huge problem that our healthy eating is expensive. Like it's and it requires a level of education to sift through all the junk, like, to even know, which goes back to that's my whole thing. I'm like, if I can just educate people even how to read the labels,
Mhm.
make the better choice, whatever that may be at the place you're in.
Now, what keeps you in that beast mindset?
I am, what's the word? My optimism may be actually a downfall. I am overly optimistic. I truly believe, really deep in my soul, that we were designed to be able to heal and to be able to thrive and live well. And I want to see everyone do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.